The first time something hit the Earth hard enough to matter, I was not there. None of us were. There were no witnesses, only the crater. And the crater is the size of a country. I have been close to an asteroid. Just one, just once, and not a large one. I want to tell you about the one that worries the people who do this for a living. Not because it is the biggest, because of what it shows us about how little time we would actually have. You are sitting somewhere right now, probably indoors. The sky above you looks empty. It is not. It is the busiest place near you, and almost nothing in it ever announces itself before it arrives. Let me start with a number, because this number is the whole story. The thing that exploded over a city in Russia in 2013 was about 20 meters across. 20 meters. A house. It came in over Chelyabinsk at a low angle on a bright winter morning, and nobody saw it coming. Not a single telescope. Not one of the people who scan the sky every night for exactly this. It arrived out of the direction of the sun, and the sun is a blind spot. You cannot point a telescope into that glare, so it came from the one place we cannot watch. And the first warning anyone on Earth received was the light. It got brighter than the sun for a moment. Brighter than the sun, in the sky, next to the sun. People turned to look. That is the natural thing to do. You see a light, you turn your face toward it. And while they were turning, the shock wave was still on its way down, because light is fast and sound is not. Then the windows came in. About 1,500 people were hurt that morning, almost all of them by glass. They had walked to their windows to see the strange light, and the blast wave arrived 2 minutes later and turned every pane in the city into a spray. Mid-sky, midday. Gone. And the object itself never even reached the ground in one piece. It broke apart in the air, miles up. That one still gets me. Not the size of it, the fact that we had no idea. A house-sized rock, and the most advanced civilization in the history of this planet found out the same way a deer finds out about headlights. So when I say there is an asteroid we are not ready for, I am not talking about a fantasy. I am talking about a category of object that we know exists, that we know we cannot fully track, and that has already hit us once this century while we were not looking. I want to walk you through what the worst version of this actually looks like. Not the movie version, the real one. And I want to do it the way it would actually happen, in order, from the first moment we know to a year later. Stay with me. Some of this is hard, but the hard part is also the part that, strangely, gives me hope. We will get there. Here is the scenario the people who study this take seriously. It is not a planet killer. Forget the dinosaurs for now. The rock that ended them was about 10 kilometers wide, and an object that large we would almost certainly see years or decades out. We have found most of those. The sky is, for the giants, mostly mapped. That is the good news, and it is real news, and I will come back to it. The one that keeps the experts up at night is the middle child. Something in the range of 140 meters to maybe 300 meters across. Big enough to erase a city or sink a coastline under a wave. Small enough that there are thousands of them still out there, undiscovered, drifting on orbits nobody has plotted. We have found a good fraction of them. Not all. Not close to all. So picture the day we find one of those. Except it is too late to call it a discovery. It is a warning. Minute 1. A telescope catches a smudge of light moving against the stars. That is all an asteroid ever is at first. A dot that is in a slightly different place tonight than it was last night. An automated system flags it. A human looks. They run the orbit, and the orbit comes back with a number attached. And the number is not 0. And that changes everything. The number is the probability that this object and the Earth try to occupy the same point in space on the same day. For almost every asteroid we find, that number drops to 0 within a few nights of watching. We get more data, the orbit tightens, and the Earth slides safely out of the path. That is the normal story. That is what happens almost every single time. I need you to hear that clearly, because I am about to spend 15 minutes describing the time it does not. Almost every time, it is nothing. The system works. Hold on to that. But this time, the more they watch, the more the number refuses to fall. Hour 1. This is no longer one observatory. Word has gone out. Telescopes on 3 continents are now pointed at the same faint dot, because the only way to know an orbit is to measure it again and again from different places, and let the mathematics close in. And as the measurements stack up, the cone of uncertainty is shrinking. That should be reassuring. Usually it is. A shrinking cone usually shrinks the Earth right out of it. This cone is shrinking with the Earth still inside. Day 1. By now, the people who do this know roughly what they are dealing with. They know the size, give or take, from how bright it is, and how much heat it gives off. They know the speed. Asteroids hit the atmosphere at something like 17 kilometers per second on the slow end, and far faster on the fast end. That is tens of times quicker than a rifle bullet. And they know the date. Not the spot on Earth yet. The cone is still too wide for that. But the date they have. The date is firm. And here is the part the movies never get right. The part I had to sit with for a while before I understood it. The thing that makes this scenario so cruel is not that the asteroid is unstoppable. It is that the warning is too short. In the worst realistic version, we get weeks, maybe months, not years. Why does that matter so much? Because of how you actually move an asteroid. You do not blow it up. I know how that sounds. I know what you have seen. But a nuclear weapon against a solid rock the size of a stadium mostly just gives you a cloud of smaller rocks on the same orbit, and a swarm of city killers is not an improvement on one. What you do instead is gentler and far stranger. You give it a nudge, a tiny one. You hit it with a spacecraft, or you fly a heavy probe alongside it for months and let gravity tug at a hair off course. And a hair is all you need, if you do it early enough. That is the whole game. Time. An asteroid is on a path, and a path is a line. And if you change its speed by a whisper a decade before the crossing, that whisper multiplies across millions of kilometers into a miss. The same nudge applied a month before arrival changes nothing you can measure. The rock is already here. We have actually done the nudge. A few years ago, a mission called DART flew a spacecraft straight into a small asteroid called Dimorphos on purpose, just to see if we could shift it. We could. We changed its orbit by a measurable amount. It worked. It genuinely worked. So the technique is real. It is tested. It is not science fiction anymore. But DART was planned for years and aimed at a rock that was never a threat. The asteroid I am describing gives us weeks. There is no spacecraft on the pad. There is no mission. By the time we know, the only honest thing the experts can do is the second thing on their list. They cannot move the asteroid, so they move the people. Week 1. The cone has finally shrunk enough. They know where. And somewhere on Earth, there is now a region drawn on a map, and inside that region live a certain number of human beings who are going to have to leave. I want to slow down here because this is the moment the scenario stops being about astronomy. If it comes down over open ocean, far from any coast, the world may get very lucky and the story mostly ends. If it comes down over ocean near a coast, you have a different problem, because the impact lifts a wall of water, and a wall of water finds every low shoreline it can reach. And if it comes down over land, over a city, then the city is the crater. An object a couple of 100 meters across does not need to be moving fast to be apocalyptic for the ground beneath it. It carries the energy of many, many of the largest bombs we have ever built, released in a single point, in a single instant. The blast flattens structures for tens of kilometers in every direction. The heat sets fires past the edge of the blast. The ground itself rings like a struck bell. This is not a city damaged. This is a city subtracted. But, And this is the strange mercy buried in the bad news. We would know the city. We would have its name. We would have, in the worst case, weeks. And weeks is not enough to save the buildings, but it is enough to save the people, if and only if we move. Month 1. And this is where I stop being able to talk about it as a physics problem, because everything that matters now is about us. The evacuation of an entire metropolitan region is the largest, hardest thing a society can be asked to do on short notice. It is millions of people, every one of them with somewhere they do not want to leave. It is roads that were built for a rush hour, not an exodus. It is the question of who goes first, and who has a car and who does not, and who will refuse to believe it until the sky tells them, the way the people in Chelyabinsk believed it only when the light arrived. We are not built for this. None of us are. We are built to worry about this week, this month, the people in the next room. An abstract date with a rock attached does not move the human heart the way it should. I have watched, from a distance you cannot imagine, how slowly we turn our heads. We are a species that walks to the window to look at the pretty light. And yet, this is the pivot. This is the part I actually came here to tell you, and I have been waiting the whole script to say it. Here is the thing about an asteroid that no other catastrophe on the long list of things that can end us shares. A supervolcano gives no warning you can act on. A nearby star detonating gives no warning at all. But an asteroid is just a rock obeying arithmetic. It is the only existential threat in the entire catalog that is, in principle, a solved problem. It is the only one we could see coming, the only one we could reach out and touch and push, the only apocalypse with a steering wheel. And I think about that more than I think about the danger. Somewhere on Earth, right now, tonight, while you are reading this, there are people awake in dark rooms full of screens, and they are scanning the sky. Not for glory. Nobody knows their names. They are quietly building the map. Every asteroid they find and tag and track is one that can never surprise us, because a known orbit is a diffused orbit. They have already cataloged most of the giant ones. They are working down through the middle children now, the 140-meter range, the city killers, slowly, patiently, one faint dot at a time. That is the thing I envy about them, if an astronaut is allowed to envy anyone. They are doing the most patient kind of work there is. They are protecting people they will never meet from a day that may not come for 1,000 years, and they get up and do it again the next night anyway. We are a species that walks to the window, but we are also a species that builds the watch. There are new telescopes coming online built for exactly this, designed to sweep the whole sky over and over and catch the things that move. There are proposals, real ones, funded ones, for spacecraft that would sit out near the sun and watch the blind spot, the direction Chelyabinsk came from, so that the one place we cannot currently see becomes a place we can. Every year the map gets better. Every year the odds of being surprised go down. So let me give you the honest reality check, because I promised you the real version, not the movie. The truth is that in any given year, the chance of a civilization-threatening impact is very, very small. The giant asteroids are mostly found and mostly accounted for, and none of the known ones are coming for us. The genuine risk lives in that middle range, the ones we have not all found yet. And even there, the most likely bad event in a human lifetime is a regional disaster, not the end of the world. Chelyabinsk-sized objects arrive every few decades, and almost always over ocean or empty land. The true city killer is rare. Rare is not never, but rare is rare. What is not fiction is the blind spot. What is not fiction is that we found that house-sized rock only after it was already burning. What is not fiction is that the size of the warning is everything, and the warning is the one part we can actually grow. Every dollar and every night spent on the map buys us time, and time is the only thing that turns this from a catastrophe into a headline about a successful mission. So here is what I want you to take back to your couch and your window and your ordinary week. You are not going to be hit by an asteroid. Almost certainly, no one you love ever will be. That is true, and you can hold it. But the next time you are outside at night, and the sky looks empty and finished and safe, I want you to know that it is not empty and it is not finished, and somewhere down on the ground, a few quiet people are awake and counting the things in it, one by one, so that the rest of us can keep walking to the window. That is not a frightening thought. I think it might be the most reassuring thing I know.